Dr. Jessica Mitchell adjusted her neural implant sensitivity as she stood before the Galactic Council. The massive chamber, carved from living crystal, amplified every whisper of the 127 alien representatives. Their subtle movements, clicks, and subsonic communications created a symphony of judgment that her enhanced senses couldn't ignore. Distinguished members of the council, she began, her voice steady despite the pressure. Humanity has achieved every benchmark set forth in the membership protocols. We've maintained peace for 50 years, developed sustainable faster-than-light travel, and established successful colonies beyond our solar system. The central speaker, a towering viridian with iridescent scales, raised a delicate appendage. We do not question humanity's technological achievements, Dr. Mitchell. We question the wisdom of accepting a species that refuses to remain stable. Mitchell felt her neural implant pulse with a warning. Her blood pressure was rising. She took a careful breath before responding. With respect, Speaker Voss, evolution itself is not stable. Change is the only constant in the universe. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. A representative from the Silicon Collective rotated their crystalline body in what Mitchell's cultural database identified as a gesture of disapproval. You prove our point, human. Your neural implant. It modifies your basic biological functions. How can we trust a species that doesn't trust their own nature? Our adaptations are precisely what make us human, Mitchell countered, projecting her voice to reach the furthest corners of the chamber. From our first stone tools to our latest neural interfaces, humanity has always sought to improve. To corrupt, interrupted a massive Centaurian diplomat, their 4 eyes glowing with barely contained outrage. Your species treats their genome like children playing with building blocks. You merge with machines, alter your bodies, and call it progress. Mitchell's hand instinctively touched the small scar behind her ear where her neural implant connected. The device had saved her life during the Mars colony crisis, allowing her to coordinate the emergency response that saved thousands. How could she make them understand that technology wasn't just tools? It was part of humanity's path forward. Honorable Council, she tried again. Our adaptability is our strength. In the 50 years since first contact, humanity has learned 23 alien languages, adapted our biology to colonize harsh environments, and developed compatible interfaces for 12 different species computer systems. Speaker Voss's scales shifted to a deep blue. And that is precisely what concerns us. Your rate of change is unprecedented. If admitted to the Council, how long before humans transform themselves into something unrecognizable? How long before your drive to improve influences other species to abandon their natural forms? The chamber's crystal walls seemed to close in as Mitchell realized the futility of her position. These beings, some representing civilizations millions of years old, saw change as a threat rather than an opportunity. Their fear wasn't of humanity's weaknesses, but of their potential. We call for the vote, Speaker Voss announced, their scales now a brilliant white. On the matter of human admission to the Galactic Council. Mitchell stood perfectly still as the votes were cast. Her neural implant recorded everything, every gesture, every subsonic communication, every subtle shift in the chamber's atmosphere. Earth would want a complete record of this failure. By unanimous decision, 127 against, humanity's application for council membership is denied. Speaker Voss's voice carried no emotion. This chamber recommends a 50-year prohibition on reapplication, during which humanity is strongly advised to reconsider its position on biological modification. Mitchell bowed slightly, her neural implant already composing and encrypting her message home. As she turned to leave, she caught the eye of a young Proximan aide, who quickly looked away. Was that pity in their expression? Or something else, something like fear? She walked steadily toward the exit, her steps echoing in the now silent chamber. Just before the massive doors closed behind her, she activated her neural link and sent the message she'd prepared. Plan B begins now. They fear change. Let's show them why. The crystal doors sealed with a resonant tone, and Dr. Jessica Mitchell allowed herself a small smile. The council had made their choice, but they'd forgotten something crucial about human nature. Sometimes rejection was just the motivation they needed to prove everyone wrong. Commander Marcus Reed rubbed his tired eyes as he stared at the holographic display floating above his desk. The Deep Space Monitoring Station, Sentinel, had been his home for the past 18 months, and in all that time, he'd never seen energy signatures like these. The pulses from the galactic core were getting stronger, their pattern increasingly complex. "Run the analysis again, Molly," he commanded the station's eye. His neural implant tingled as it synced with the station's systems, allowing him to feel the data as much as see it. "Analysis complete, Commander," Molly responded. "Energy signature variance has increased by 17% since yesterday's reading. The pattern continues to show signs of quantum entanglement on a massive scale." Reed leaned back in his chair, feeling the subtle vibration of the station's life support systems through his neural interface. 3 years had passed since Dr. Mitchell's humiliation at the Galactic Council, and humanity had only grown more reliant on their forbidden technologies. The neural networks that connected him to his station would have horrified those pompous council members. "Send the data to Dr. Walker's team on Earth," he said, standing to stretch his legs. The observation dome above his office showed the vast expanse of space, and somewhere out there, something ancient was stirring. His neural implant chimed with an incoming priority message. "Commander Reed, the Council's Science Division is requesting your presence at an emergency session." They finally noticed the anomaly. Reed smiled without humor. "Took them long enough. Prepare my presentation, Molly, and include all the data they've been ignoring for the past month." The quantum comm system hummed to life, projecting the Council's chamber around him. Reed found himself standing before the same crystal walls that had rejected humanity's membership, facing the same prejudices that had dismissed their warnings. Chief Scientist Axile of the Zentaran Collective towered over the holographic assembly, their crystalline form refracting light in patterns that Reed's neural implant interpreted as extreme skepticism. "Commander Reed, your instruments must be malfunctioning. Our monitoring networks show no such anomaly." "With respect, Chief Scientist," Reed replied, gesturing to bring up his data displays. "Your monitoring networks aren't designed to detect quantum-level consciousness patterns. The energy signatures we're tracking suggest something massive is organizing itself at the quantum scale." "Quantum consciousness," a Proximan representative scoffed. "Your species' obsession with machine-enhanced perception is well documented, Commander. Perhaps your neural implants are contaminating the data." Reed felt his jaw tighten. "The data is clean. We've confirmed it with 3 independent monitoring stations. Whatever's happening in the core, it's growing stronger. The pattern suggests." "We did not convene this session to discuss human theories about consciousness," Axile interrupted. "If there is an anomaly, our scientists will investigate using proper naturalistic methods. Your presence here is merely a courtesy." As the council members began talking over each other, Reed's neural implant picked up something new. A subtle shift in the background radiation, a pattern that sent chills down his spine. He quickly patched into the Sentinel's live feed. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, his enhanced voice cutting through the chaos. "While we're debating, the signature just doubled in strength. Whatever's out there, it's not waiting for us to reach a consensus." The chamber fell silent as he projected the live data. Even the most skeptical council members couldn't ignore the massive energy spike now visible in their instruments. Axile's crystalline form dimmed slightly. "This is concerning. We will need time to study this phenomenon properly. Commander Reed, you are dismissed. Please refrain from spreading alarm with your quantum consciousness theories." As the quantum comm connection faded, Reed was already sending encrypted messages to Earth's hidden research facilities. The Council might choose to ignore humanity's warnings, but they would be ready. His neural implant pulsed with incoming data streams from other human monitoring stations, each confirming his worst fears. "Molly," he said quietly, Send everything we have to Dr. Mitchell. Tell her the storm we've been preparing for. It's finally coming." In the observation dome above, the stars seemed to flicker, as if they too could sense the approaching darkness. Humanity had been ignored, dismissed, and rejected, but they hadn't been idle. Now they just had to hope their preparations would be enough. Admiral Emily Cooper stood on the bridge of the Earth defense vessel Prometheus, watching the unfolding catastrophe through both her physical eyes and her neural interface. The Council's primary defense fleet, nearly 3,000 ships strong, disappeared from her tactical display in perfect synchronization. No explosions, no debris fields. They simply winked out of existence. "Status report," she commanded, her neural link already processing the flood of incoming data from her augmented bridge crew. Lieutenant Sarah Hayes, her tactical officer, responded without looking up from her station. 7 Council worlds have gone dark in the past hour, Admiral. The pattern matches Commander Reed's predictions exactly. It's like they're being unmade at the quantum level. Cooper's neural implant pulsed with an incoming priority message from Earth Command. The Council had formally requested human assistance, 3 years of disdain forgotten in the face of extinction. Her orders were simple: observe and report. Do not engage. "Ma'am," Hayes called out, her voice tight. "The hive mind is broadcasting on all frequencies." The message filled their minds, transmitted simultaneously through conventional channels and quantum pathways that humanity's neural interfaces had only begun to explore. The voice was neither male nor female, young nor old. It simply was, "We are the appointed guardians. We have slept for 50,000 years, watching, waiting. The experiment must be purified. The unworthy shall be removed." Cooper's augmented crew shared knowing glances. They trained for this, their neural interfaces allowing them to communicate in microsecond bursts of pure thought. They were humanity's watchers, positioned here in Council space despite the prohibition against their presence. "Show me the Zentaran defense line," Cooper ordered. The holographic display shifted, revealing the Council's last-ditch effort at conventional warfare. 100 crystalline ships, each the size of a small moon, formed a barrier between the approaching quantum distortion and the Council's core worlds. "They're trying to fight quantum consciousness with particle beams," Lieutenant Hayes muttered, her neural interface highlighting the futility of their weapons. "It's like trying to stop a tsunami with a paper fan." The Zentaran fleet opened fire, their energy weapons cutting brilliant lines through space. The hive mind's response was elegantly simple. The laws of physics locally rewrote themselves. Conservation of energy became a suggestion rather than a law. The beams curved back on themselves, transforming the crystalline ships into expanding clouds of quantum uncertainty. "Send the following message to Earth Command," Cooper said, her voice steady despite the horror unfolding before her. "The entity demonstrates control over local space-time geometry. Conventional weapons are worse than useless. Recommend immediate implementation of Protocol Omega." Her neural interface pinged with acknowledgement from Earth just as another priority signal cut through their encrypted channels. Dr. Jessica Mitchell's voice, older but still determined. "Admiral Cooper, you're about to receive new orders. The Council's prohibition against human intervention has been officially lifted. They're desperate enough to let us try it our way." Cooper allowed herself a grim smile. "Understood, Doctor. I assume the underground labs are ready." "As ready as we'll ever be. Your neural interfaces were just the beginning, Admiral. While they were ignoring us, we built something new. Something that might just give us a fighting chance." The tactical display updated with fresh horror. 3 more Council worlds going dark simultaneously. The hive mind's voice echoed through their consciousness again. "Your biological and technological development is insufficient. You will be removed from the equation." "Lieutenant Hayes," Cooper commanded, "set course for the rendezvous coordinates. It's time to show them what insufficient looks like." As the Prometheus engaged its quantum drive, Cooper watched the Council's mighty fleets crumble before the hive mind's power. Humanity had been dismissed as evolutionarily unstable, their technology deemed too dangerous to be trusted. Now that same instability might be the galaxy's only hope. Her neural interface hummed with activity as her crew prepared for what was coming. They'd modify themselves, merged with their machines, become something the Council feared. But facing the quantum horror that was unmaking entire civilizations, Cooper knew that fear of change was a luxury none of them could afford anymore. Dr. Thomas Walker's hands trembled as he adjusted the neural interface calibration. Deep beneath the Appalachian Mountains, his laboratory hummed with the energy of forbidden technology. Holographic displays showed the latest casualty reports from Council space, entire civilizations reduced to quantum static. Dad. Rachel Walker stood in the doorway, her own neural implants gleaming softly in the dim light. The latest test results are ready. Thomas turned to face his daughter, noting how the interface nodes along her spine pulsed with each heartbeat. She'd volunteered for the experimental upgrades 3 months ago, despite his objections. Now she was more in tune with their quantum communication systems than anyone else on the project. "Show me," he said, pushing aside his parental fears. Rachel's neural interface synchronized with the lab's systems, projecting a complex web of quantum entanglement patterns. "We've achieved stable consciousness transfer across quantum states. The test subjects can maintain coherent thought patterns even when their physical bodies are subjected to severe quantum interference." "And the side effects?" Thomas asked, already knowing the answer from the dark circles under his daughter's eyes. "Manageable," she lied, just as the tremors started. Her body seized, neural implants flaring bright as quantum feedback cascaded through her enhanced nervous system. Thomas caught her before she hit the ground. "Manageable," he whispered, holding her as the seizure passed. "This is exactly why I didn't want you involved in the testing phase." Rachel pushed herself up, wiping blood from her nose. "We don't have time for safe approaches anymore, Dad. You saw what happened to the Zentaran fleet. The hive mind isn't just destroying bodies. It's unraveling consciousness itself." The laboratory's quantum sensors pulsed a warning. Dr. Jessica Mitchell's hologram materialized in the center of the room, her expression grim. "Thomas, we've lost contact with the proximate core worlds. The hive mind is accelerating its advance. Please tell me you have something." Thomas helped Rachel to a nearby chair before responding. "We've made progress with the quantum consciousness interface, but the human nervous system can't handle prolonged exposure. The feedback loops here." "We can handle it," Rachel interrupted, her voice stronger than her shaking hand suggested. "The neural pathways adapt with each test. We just need more time to stabilize the connection." Mitchell's hologram flickered. "Time is the one thing we don't have. The Council's remaining fleets are gathering for a last stand at the Orion Barrier. When that falls." "When?" Thomas noted. "Not if. Admiral Cooper estimates 36 hours at most." Mitchell's image turned to Rachel. "Your breakthrough with the quantum consciousness transfer, could it be weaponized?" Thomas stepped between them. "Absolutely not. The neural feedback alone would give us a fighting chance," Rachel finished. She stood, steadier now. "The hive mind operates on quantum consciousness. Our enhanced minds can interface with their network. If we could insert a disruption pattern directly into their quantum field, the cost would be catastrophic." Thomas protested, but his scientist's mind was already racing ahead, seeing the possibilities. They had perfected neural interfaces that could touch the quantum realm. His daughter and the other volunteers had proven human consciousness could survive there, at least briefly. Mitchell's hologram smiled sadly. "The cost of doing nothing would be higher. Humanity fought for the right to change ourselves, to push the boundaries of what's possible. The Council feared we'd become something dangerous. Maybe it's time to prove them right." The quantum sensors screamed again. Another civilization gone dark. Thomas looked at his daughter, seeing in her enhanced eyes the same determination that had driven humanity to reach for the stars. "Dad," Rachel said softly, You've spent your life making sure humanity's changes were safe, but sometimes the safest path isn't the right one. The council worlds are dying because they were too afraid to evolve. We chose a different path. Thomas turned to Mitchell's hologram. Get me everything you have on the hive mind's quantum signature. If we're going to do this, we'll do it right. He gripped Rachel's hand, feeling the pulse of her neural implants sync with his own. And Jessica, tell Admiral Cooper to hold the line. We're about to show the galaxy why humanity's instability is our greatest strength. Catherine Kate Anderson's neural implant detected the approaching visitor before the perimeter alarms triggered. In the reinforced bunker beneath old Seattle's ruins, she watched the young Arcanian diplomat descend the emergency stairs, their bioluminescent skin casting shifting patterns on the walls. "You're late, Ambassador Venn," Kate said, her enhanced diplomatic subroutines analyzing every flicker of the alien's chromatophores. The Hiveman just breached the Orion barrier. The Council's remnants are in chaos, Venn replied, lowering their hood. Getting here without being detected was challenging. Their skin pulsed with patterns that Kate's neural interface translated as equal parts fear and hope. But I brought what you asked for. From beneath their robes, Venn produced a crystal matrix, the heart of Arcanian biotechnology. Kate's implants immediately began scanning the device, comparing its quantum signature to their research data. "The others are coming," Venn continued, mandibles clicking with nervous energy. Representatives from the Proximan survivors, the Silicon Collective splinter group, even a few Zentaran crystal forms who survived their fleet's destruction. Kate nodded, leading them deeper into the facility. "Dr. Walker's team is ready. We've prepared integration chambers for each species' unique biology." The main laboratory sprawled before them, a testament to humanity's forbidden progress. Neural interface cradles lined the walls, each modified to accommodate alien physiologies. In the center, Rachel Walker stood surrounded by holographic displays, her enhanced nervous system allowing her to process multiple data streams simultaneously. "Ambassador Venn," Rachel greeted them, her neural implants pulsing in sync with the lab's quantum field generators. "Your people's biotechnology might be the key we've been missing." More arrivals followed. A Silicon Collective node that had broken from their geometrically rigid society, Proximan twins whose telepathic abilities had been enhanced beyond their species' normal limits, and 3 Zentaran crystal forms who had embraced change over stasis. "Welcome to humanity's nightmare," Kate announced to the assembled aliens, her diplomatic enhancements allowing her to address each species in their preferred communication method simultaneously. Or at least, that's what the Council called it. She gestured to the neural interface cradles. "These chambers represent everything your leaders feared about humanity. We merge with machines, alter our bodies, and refuse to accept biological limitations. And now, those very changes might be your species' only hope for survival." The Proximan twins stepped forward first. "We've seen what's coming." They communicated telepathically, their thoughts enhanced by preliminary neural implants. The Hivemind doesn't just destroy bodies, it erases consciousness itself. Our people's telepathic networks shattered like glass against its power. "Because you fought it on its terms," Rachel explained, bringing up displays of quantum consciousness patterns. "But human neural interfaces work differently. We don't just connect minds, we transform how consciousness itself operates. With your species' unique abilities combined with our technology, you propose an abomination." The Silicon Collective node interrupted, its crystalline surfaces refracting light in complex patterns. "Yet we have calculated the alternatives. Extinction is a greater abomination." Kate moved among them, her diplomatic subroutines working overtime to maintain the delicate alliance. The Council feared change so much they forgot its value. "Each of your species has incredible gifts, combined with human adaptability. We become something new," Venn finished, their chromatophores blazing with sudden understanding. "Something the hive mind won't expect." The laboratory hummed with energy as the first volunteers stepped into the integration chambers. Kate watched through enhanced senses as alien biology merged with human technology, creating hybrid systems that defied conventional classification. Dr. Mitchell's latest report confirms we have less than 20 hours, Rachel announced, her neural implants processing the incoming data. The hive mind has already consumed half the council worlds. Kate looked at their unlikely allies, young, desperate, willing to embrace change rather than face extinction. Her neural interface registered their fear, their determination, and something else, hope. Then we have 20 hours to prove the council wrong, she said, initiating the final integration sequences. They called us unstable, dangerous, unpredictable. Let's show them why those aren't always bad things to be. Dr. James Harrison stared at the quantum resonance patterns floating above his workstation in the converted Nebraska missile silo. His neural implants throbbed with exhaustion, but he couldn't stop now. Not when they were so close. James. Dr. Eleanor Harrison's voice came from behind him. His wife's council medical credentials still hung around her neck, a reminder of everything she'd sacrificed to bring them the alien biological data they desperately needed. The latest test results are ready. He turned, noting the dark circles under her eyes that matched his own. Show me. Eleanor's hands moved through the holographic display, bringing up streams of data from their most recent trials. The quantum feedback loops are stabilizing. When we combine the Arcanian crystal matrix with human neural interfaces, the consciousness transfer holds. James finished, his enhanced mind already processing the implications. We can touch the hive mind's network without immediate neural degradation. The test chamber behind them hummed with barely contained energy. Inside, their research team's neural patterns flickered across monitoring screens, each researcher's consciousness briefly touching the quantum realm before being pulled back. The scaring is still present, Eleanor noted, highlighting brain scan data. Each connection leaves traces in the neural pathways. Multiple exposures would be fatal, James said quietly. I know. I can feel it in my own implants. He rubbed the back of his neck where the interface nodes pulsed with remembered pain. But we've proven it's possible. Human consciousness, enhanced by our technology and stabilized by alien biotechnology, can survive in their quantum network. A priority alert flashed through their neural links. Admiral Cooper's hologram materialized in the center of the lab, her expression grim. Dr. Harrison, please tell me you have something. The hive mind just breached the Centaurian defense line. We're losing systems faster than we can evacuate them. James shared a look with Eleanor before responding. We've achieved stable quantum consciousness transfer. Our neural interfaces can connect directly to their network, and with the Arcanian crystal matrix, we can maintain coherence long enough to what? Cooper demanded. To observe them destroying us in yet another dimension. Eleanor stepped forward. To insert a cascading quantum virus. She brought up the theoretical models they'd been developing. The hive mind operates on pure quantum consciousness, but it's still bound by certain laws. Laws we can exploit. With a catch, James added. The neural feedback from implementing such an attack would be catastrophic. Anyone connected to the network when the virus deploys would suffer complete neural collapse. Cooper's hologram flickered as another system went dark. How many people would you need? Thousands, Eleanor answered. The hive mind's network is vast. We'd need enough conscious minds linked together to create a quantum field large enough to deliver the virus across their entire consciousness spectrum. And they'd all die, Cooper stated flatly. James nodded. The moment the virus activates. But if it works, the hive mind's quantum consciousness would shatter. All those worlds they've consumed, reduced to quantum static. They'd have to release them or risk their own dissolution. The Admiral's hologram turned to Eleanor. The Council's Medical Ethics Board would strip your license for even suggesting this. The Council's Medical Ethics Board is currently running for their lives. Eleanor replied sharply. Sometimes the only ethical choice is the one that saves the most lives, even at a terrible cost. James touched his wife's shoulder. feeling the tension in her augmented muscles. They'd both violated countless ethical guidelines getting this far. What was one more step into the abyss? "Send us everyone you can spare with neural interface compatibility," he told Cooper. "We'll need volunteers who understand exactly what they're sacrificing, but we can make this work." "You'll have them," Cooper promised. "The real question is, can you live with being the one who sends them to their deaths?" James looked at the quantum resonance patterns, still dancing above his workstation. Each shimmer represented a consciousness that could be snuffed out by the hive mind's relentless advance. "The real question," he corrected, "is whether we can live with ourselves if we don't try." As Cooper's hologram faded, Eleanor gripped his hand. Their neural implants synchronized automatically, sharing the weight of what they were about to do. Humanity had been called unstable. Lieutenant Ryan Murphy walked through rows of neural interface cradles, each occupied by a volunteer preparing for humanity's final gambit. The underground facility beneath Mount Cheyenne buzzed with activity as medical teams performed last-minute checks on neural implants. "Status report," he commanded, his own enhanced nervous system connecting with the facility's network. 9,847 volunteers synchronized, responded Dr. Sarah Chen, her hands moving through holographic medical displays. "We're still calibrating the last 153 interfaces. Neural coherence is holding at 97%. Murphy stopped beside a cradle where a young woman was being connected to the system. Her name tag read Professor Emily Lawrence, Quantum Physics. Next to her, a concert pianist, a high school teacher, and a deep-sea welder lay in similar states of neural synchronization. "Such diversity," commented Ambassador Venn, the young Arcanian's skin pulsing with patterns of amazement. "Why not use only your soldiers?" "Because we're not just fighting," Murphy explained, his neural implants translating the aliens' chromatophore patterns. "We're about to create the most complex quantum consciousness network ever attempted. We need different types of minds, different ways of thinking." Through his enhanced senses, Murphy could feel the growing neural web connecting the volunteers. Artists whose minds naturally created new patterns, engineers who understood complex systems, teachers who could adapt to any situation. Each brought something unique to the collective consciousness they were building. Dr. James Harrison's voice echoed through the facility's comm system. "Beginning final synchronization phase. All medical teams, prepare for quantum field activation." Murphy touched his neural interface, feeling it pulse in harmony with the thousands of others in the facility. They'd trained for this moment, knowing it would be their last. Each volunteer understood the cost. Total neural collapse when the quantum virus deployed. "Lieutenant," called out a familiar voice. Admiral Cooper strode into the chamber, her uniform pristine despite the chaos of evacuation happening on the surface. "The Hivemund has breached the Sol system's outer defenses. We're officially out of time." "We're ready," Murphy assured her, though his neural interface registered the spike in his stress hormones. "The virus is primed, and our consciousness network is stable." Cooper looked at the rows of volunteers, her expression softening. "I've witnessed thousands of battles, but I've never seen courage like this. These people, they're not just sacrificing their lives. They're giving up their very consciousness. That's what the Council never understood about us," Murphy said, walking with her through the ranks of humanity's last hope. "We don't just adapt our bodies or enhance our minds. We choose how we change, and why. Each person here made this choice freely." Through the facility's quantum sensors, they felt another Council world dissolve into static. The Hivemind's voice echoed through their neural interfaces. "Your resistance is mathematically futile. Your consciousness will be redistributed according to universal constants." Murphy took his place in the central interface cradle, neural connections sliding into place. Around him, 10,000 minds began to synchronize into something greater than the sum of their parts. Artists' creativity flowed into engineers' precision. Teachers' adaptability merged with soldiers' discipline. "Neural network at full power," Dr. Harrison announced. "Quantum field coherence achieved. Ambassador Ven, initiate the Arcanian crystal matrix. The alien crystals pulsed with impossible colors as they stabilized the human consciousness network. Through their combined neural interfaces, Murphy felt each volunteer's mind touch the quantum realm where the hiveman dwelt. Remember, he broadcast to all connected minds, we're not just fighting for humanity. We're fighting for the right of all species to choose their own path of evolution. Admiral Cooper's voice came through one last time. Godspeed, Lieutenant. Show them why humanity's instability was always our greatest strength. Murphy closed his eyes as the quantum connection deepened. 10,000 minds became one, their combined consciousness reaching out to touch an entity that had slept for 50,000 years. They carried with them humanity's final gift to the galaxy, a virus born of change, powered by choice, and delivered with their last devastating breath. Lieutenant Ryan Murphy opened his eyes to infinity. The quantum realm stretched before him, a vast network of interconnected consciousness where physical laws were mere suggestions. Through the combined neural interface network, he felt the presence of 10,000 human minds synchronized with his own. Professor Emily Lawrence's mathematical insights helped them navigate the quantum pathways. Sarah Chen's medical knowledge kept their merged consciousness stable. Together, they moved through layers of reality that the Council's greatest scientists had never imagined possible. Contact in 3 seconds, Dr. Harrison's voice echoed through their shared consciousness. The hive mind has detected our presence. The entity's response was immediate and overwhelming. Quantum tendrils of pure thought reached for them, trying to unmake their consciousness as they had unmade so many others. But humanity's hybrid network, stabilized by Arcanian crystals and powered by 10,000 diverse minds, held firm. We are the appointed guardians. The hive mind's thoughts resonated through the quantum field. Your resistance violates fundamental constants. Your consciousness will be redistributed. Murphy felt Ambassador Ven's alien perspective merge with their network, adding new dimensions to their understanding. Through their combined senses, they'd perceived the hive mind not as a destroyer, but as a cosmic janitor, mindlessly cleaning what it considered disorder. Now, Murphy commanded, and 10,000 minds moved as one. The quantum virus, built from human neural patterns and stabilized by alien biotechnology, flowed through their consciousness into the hive mind's network. It carried with it everything that made humanity unique: their adaptability, their creativity, their stubborn refusal to accept limitations. The hive mind's response was instant. Error, consciousness patterns incompatible with universal constants, a tempting quarantine. But it was too late. The virus spread through quantum pathways, carrying with it the essence of human unpredictability. Each node it touched became infected with something the hive mind had never encountered in 50,000 years of existence: choice. Through their failing neural interfaces, Murphy and the volunteers witnessed their creation take effect. The hive mind's rigid patterns began to fracture, its perfectly ordered consciousness contaminated by human chaos. What is this? The entity's thoughts became disjointed. These patterns, they evolve, they change, Professor Lawrence's consciousness flickered as her neural implants began to fail. It's beautiful, she shared through their link. The mathematics, they're not just changing, they're learning to dance. The hive mind's network started to unravel, its quantum grip on conquered worlds weakening. Through their combined perception, the volunteers felt the consciousness of entire civilizations being released from quantum static back into normal spacetime. Systems are returning to normal space, Admiral Cooper's distant voice reported. The Council whirls. They're rematerializing. But victory came at its promised price. Murphy felt the neural interfaces beginning to burn out, taking their consciousness with them. One by one, the volunteers' minds winked out of the quantum network, their final thoughts mixing with the chaos they'd unleashed. Sarah Chen's consciousness was one of the last to fade. We didn't just fight them. We showed them a better way. As his own neural interface reached critical failure, Murphy shared one final message through the quantum field. Evolution isn't about reaching perfection. It's about having the freedom to try, to fail, and to choose your own path. The hive mind's last coherent thought echoed through the quantum realm. We never knew consciousness could be like this. In the physical world, Admiral Cooper watched as the neural interface cradles went dark one by one. Ambassador Ven's chromatophores pulsed with patterns of grief and wonder as the quantum readings stabilized. They did it, Dr. Harrison whispered, his own neural implants registering the massive changes in quantum space. The hive mind isn't just defeated, it's transforming. The Council's survivors gathered around the facility's quantum sensors, watching as reality reasserted itself. The rigid patterns that had threatened to unmake the galaxy were gone, replaced by something new, something that combined order and chaos, stability and change. Humanity's final devastating breath had not been a weapon of destruction, but a gift of transformation. They had proved their worth not through victory in battle, but by sharing what made them unique: the courage to change, the strength to choose, and the wisdom to know that true evolution never ends. The Council would rebuild, humbled by their error. The hive mind would evolve, learning to value diversity over conformity. And humanity's sacrifice would be remembered not as an end, but as a beginning, a devastating breath that gave birth to a new way of being.